I now have 2 of the Noctua heatsinks, so I need to figure out the best way to lay them out, and then make a case to hold them. Obviously, I need a layout that will allow fresh, cool air to move over the heatsink fins, and I would rather have a case that is deeper than taller or wider. So I think I'll mount the heatsinks on their narrow side, base to base, so that the MOSFETs are close to each other. That should allow me to have some access to the MOSFET power boards, even with them mounted in place. Should be good for side-to-side airflow, so this is the layout I'm going for. I'm going to make the case out of some scrap acrylic sheet. Acrylic doesn't make for the best long-lasting cases, as it has a tendency to fracture at holes and cuts, but it's easy to work with and I think good at prototyping. One thing I want to do on this project is to put a little thought into having to work on it after it is put together. I haven't done that in the past, with regret at times. The base in front of the case will be made out of 3/8" acrylic, the rest of it 1/4" acrylic. When completed, the case should comprise of 4 parts. The first part, the bottom fan side, is made by gluing the 3/8" bottom piece and the 1/4" fan mount piece together. The most difficult part in gluing the 2 pieces together is holding them at 90 degrees while gluing them. The pieces only have to be held in place for 2 or 3 minutes. I will let it set at least an hour before putting any pressure on the part. Most of the time, I will let the glued parts set overnight before working on them. The fan mounting area is cut out with some large openings. I'm planning on putting some kind of dust filter over the openings, but that will be one of the last to-do items. This part of the case will have most of the components mounted to it, hopefully in a way that will make them easy to access. The second part, the top exhaust side, is made by gluing together the 1/4" top piece and the 1/4" side exhaust piece. Here I'm going to use the bottom fan part to help hold the exhaust side piece square for gluing. Creating a thin gap between the 2 pieces with some number 0 piano wire. The top is offset just a bit from the side to create a ledge to apply the glue to. Then after applying the glue, I will pull the top back to align with the side. While the joint is setting up, making sure the top edge stays aligned with the side piece is the hardest part. Just don't want it to move as I put a bit of weight on the joint. The exhaust side has a lot of slots cut into it. While it's still plenty strong, I'm hoping it will allow enough cross airflow through the heatsink fins. Now 1/4" thick acrylic is just too thin to screw into the side of. So I'm going to make some small acrylic tabs, using 3/8" thick acrylic. I'll cut out a 3/4" long by 1/4" wide with rounded edges on one side. These will be glued to one part of the case and be used to screw the case together. To glue the screw tabs in place, I'm going to clamp the 2 case parts together as square as I can, spacing the 2 case pieces apart with some thin wooden craft sticks. The glue will wick under the tab and hopefully only under the tab. Holding it in place for a minute or a bit more. It's a little cool in the shop today, so it does take a bit longer. 6 of these tabs will be used to hold these 2 case parts together, 3 glued to the top and 3 glued to the side, and no components will be mounted to this case part. I'm trying to eliminate the glue running everywhere, so the surface that the tab is getting glued to is facing up. So if I don't overdo the glue application, the glue will just wick in between the 2 pieces of plastic. The front case part is the most complex. The display input board will attach to this piece. It has cutouts for 3 buttons, an encoder knob shaft, 2 banana jacks, and 2 copper bus bars. The OLED display will hopefully be quite readable through the 3/8" acrylic. I'm really trying to protect this area from getting scratched up. The copper bus bars are 1/4 inch by 3/4 inch rectangle, and my cutter is 1/4 inch in diameter. So as to not make the slots so oversized, I'll square up these cuts with a file. Gluing the screw tabs to the front part is a little tricky. I sure don't want the front to look twisted. Just keeping the pieces aligned is a bit of a chore. I'll glue the bottom 2 tabs in place with it all clamped square. I'll wait to glue the top 2 till these bottom tabs have set up so I can clamp against them. By far the most difficult tab is the one that is for the screw in the top exhaust case part. I could use a bit longer arms here. Holding this for a minute is a bit of a strain. I'm using 832 machine screws to hold the case together. I align and clamp the case parts together, then drill a number 29 hole through both pieces. I then taper the edge of the holes. It does help reduce the chipping of the acrylic. The screw clearance hole is then enlarged with a number 17 drill bit. Do have to go very slow with the bit. Sharp regular drill bits will severely chip acrylic. Now the tabs get threaded. I found that the threaded acrylic holds a screw quite well. Not the best if a screw has a high insertion and removal rate, but I hope that doesn't happen here. If it does, I can always use a 632 threaded insert. This is the process for threading of all the tabs. The back is the same process as the front part, only the back is a solid piece of 1/4 inch acrylic. I expect to drill 1 hole in it for clearance for the power plug. I don't expect any components to be attached to the back. The last piece of the case are the buttons. I was able to get a small piece of scrap 1-inch thick acrylic, so that seemed perfect to make the buttons out of. The button is cut a couple of hundredths of an inch smaller than the cutouts on the front. The buttons get a good sanding, starting at about 180 grit and going to 800 grit. After sanding, they get a buffing with some fine rubbing compound. It really takes the sharp edges off and makes them very smooth. So slippery, they're hard to hold on to. The cut edges of the acrylic are quite sharp, so a bit of sanding to smooth around the outside edges is in order. There it is in all its glory. Clear is really hard to get on camera, but I think it turned out nice. Now there are still some mounting holes that will have to be made, and after I'm sure where all the holes have got to go in the bottom, then I'll make the feet for it. I sure hope airflow is enough. I really don't want to make it all over again. Thank you for watching.